Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and this is the latest LEGO Ninjago City modular, Ninjago City Workshops. And like all of the others, it is jam-packed full of references and Easter eggs, not just to Ninjago, but to LEGO history and other LEGO themes in general. I actually already put out an in-depth review of this set, which you can check out on the channel right now, but today we're going to be diving into an in-depth look at every single Easter egg and reference located in the set, explaining what all of them mean, what the references are to, whether they be to the TV show or to other LEGO items. There's a lot to get into here, because much like the rest of these sets, there are dozens and dozens of references packed in here, some that make me very excited, and maybe some that might be even hinting towards future sets or minifigures. And so, without further ado, let's jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin into an in-depth look at this set. Alright, here's Ninjago City Workshops. You've seen an in-depth review of this on my channel, and you've also seen me put this in my LEGO City. And now it's time to go through every single Easter egg and reference that I was able to spot pertaining to the show, past LEGO themes, and so much more, going from the bottom to the top. We're gonna kick things off with one of my favorite references in the set. This is a poster that reads Fabuland in the Ninjago language, showcasing two individual LEGO Fabuland sets, the mill as well as the plane. Fabuland was a theme that originated all the way back in the 1980s and is one of the most iconic LEGO themes ever. This is a pretty well-timed reference because literally just a few days ago, LEGO revealed a brand new Fabuland-inspired tribute set exclusive to the LEGO house in Billund, Denmark, so this really is the year of Fabuland. It depicts some of the main characters down at the bottom of the display, as well as the classic LEGO Fabuland trees, and I just love how they were able to really showcase it in this art style, with a lot of these posters reminiscing back to older LEGO themes, and this being one of my favorites. Our next reference here comes in the form of this noodle advertisement sign on the side of the building, which I may add is very cleverly done using an upside down Scarfus noodles. The white and light blue design of the sign here is a callback to Ninjago City Markets, where we got a noodle stall vendor utilizing a torso that had a very similar design to this and the same color scheme, showcasing that this might be a popular franchise around the city. Next up, we have a reference to one of the most iconic LEGO in-universe brands, and that is Octan, spelled out in the Ninjago language here. It's utilizing the classic Octan logo, as well as their color scheme of green, red, and white, and this has been referenced a ton of times throughout a number of different LEGO sets, most notably as the evil corporation in the LEGO movie, and even in places like Monkey Kid with the galactic spaceship having a base that had the same exact colors as the Octan logo. Moving onwards, we have a reference to one of the first Ninjago direct-to-consumer sets, the Temple of Erjitsu, which is what the Ninjago text there says. The Erjitsu Temple was a beautiful display that came out in 2015 and really was the first of many more adult-oriented Ninjago sets, focusing on a beautiful piece of scenery, which is a really nice touch to have that be referenced here. Next up, we have a pretty interesting real-world reference, and that is Sora in the same pose as Rosie the Riveter, who was basically used throughout the end of World War II to campaign the efforts of women in the war effort. It's a very iconic poster in the real world, and it's really interesting to see them depict that in the Ninjago style here. Definitely not one reference that I was expecting, but one that is absolutely welcome. And the text on the poster reads Power. Next up, we have a 3-in-1 reference sticker. This is showcasing the Destiny's Bounty, which was introduced for Ninjago Dragons Rising a couple of years ago from the Race Against Time version, and then it also showcases two different buildings from the Ninjago City lineup, one with the main facade for markets, and then the tower from Ninjago City Gardens right behind it. Moving on from that, we have a poster here on the side of the building that reads Nomad, which I don't believe is a reference to any known character in the Ninjago universe so far, but the temple in the background does bear a striking similarity to the core Dojo Temple, which is one set that we got just a few years ago. Moving upwards to the upper railings here, we have another reference to a classic LEGO theme, and this sign here reads Paradisa. Paradisa was a vintage subtheme of town which was very known for its pastel colors and really just overall chill vibe. It's one of the most iconic LEGO Town subthemes and one that AFOLs look back on with a lot of love and recollection, which is why they wanted to honor it in this set, which is super cool. Next up here we have some text in Ninjargon which reads Mech Bay, which isn't really a reference to itself, but there's a pretty interesting mech head underneath this. This is technically not a reference to anything that we know of so far. However, I am including it here because it looks to be like a fiery design, and we do have a rumored set coming out later this year called the Fire Night Mech, and honestly this looks like it could be one of its heads. Moving on to the insides of some of the buildings, we have Zane's apartment here, and inside Zane's apartment we have two really nice pieces of artwork. There's one piece depicting his father, the Tinkerer, who we've never gotten in minifigure form before, but who played a pretty significant role in the story of Ninjago. And then we have Zane and his robotic falcon, which is a nice reference because it seems like both the show and the sets have kind of forgotten that the Falcon exists. Inside Zane's apartment, our next reference is the floor mat reading Protect, referencing Zane's motto, he is built to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Inside his room, there are two mini models referencing vehicles that Zane has driven in the past. This very simple two-part assembly definitely has to be Zane's ice tank from the LEGO Ninjago movie. It is recognizable with the triangular shape and the wheels, and the jet mounted on the side of the wall is a reference to his jet from Ninjago Crystallized, with the transparent blue cockpit and the golden wings. Moving on from that, we can take a look at some of the references on the railings, starting off with a pretty obscure one here. This text reads Spybotics, and if you don't know what Spybotics is, it was a LEGO Technic and Mindstorms adjacent theme, which came out in 2002. Spybotics was actually my very first LEGO set ever, which is kind of cool to see that being referenced all the way in 2025, and it basically was a line of programmable little robots that you could use as spybots. Moving on from that, our next reference here simply reads Citibank, and it's in the same color scheme and style as we've seen from the bank in the Ninjago TV show. Our next reference here is a piece of text that says arcade, and this is actually a reference to a couple of things. The arcade machine is very similar in design to Ninjago Prime Empire, which was the arcade pods that we got back in 2020, but it also is probably a reference to the arcade featured in Ninjago City Docks, which also had a similar design. The sign adjacent to it reads Darnagam Industries, which was Lord Garmadon's evil fake company which he used in Season 2 when he destroyed Darrett's dojo, forcing the ninja to compete in the Ninja Ball Run to raise the funds to repair the dojo. It's a pretty deep cut to the TV show, but hey, that's why we're here. The next reference is a little bit simpler, and this one is a reference to the LEGO Ninjago Legacy Kai's X1 Ninja Charger, which you can see depicted on the sign here. The sign itself reads Autobody, suggesting that there is a Ninjago auto body shop, although we haven't really seen that in physical or TV show form yet. The sign next to it reads Chan's Theater, which is the same theater that Nia went on a triple date with Cole and Jay with back in Season 3 of Rebooted. Moving onwards to our next poster here, we have an entire dedication to Season 13 Master of the Mountains, which reads Dungeons of Shintaro and features our first look at the Upply in minifigure form, which we haven't seen outside of the show. I really hope that one of these days LEGO will decide to give us the Upply as actual minifigures, because I feel like they're really cool designs, and it's really sad that they basically are relegated to being TV show only characters. Of course, in the background you can also see Vangelis the Skull Sorcerer with a TV show accurate mask, Griefbringer the Skeleton Dragon, and hordes of the reanimated undead warriors. Moving on from that, we have another sign here, which is a reference to one of the newer creatures introduced in Ninjago Dragons Rising, and that is one of the Lava Tides. The Lava Tide here is pretty interestingly depicted because it's utilizing the arms from the rock monsters of LEGO Power Miners, which is pretty cool to see. And the text reads Lava Tide Noodles. The image itself is a reference to one of the Elemental Mech shorts where the Lava Tides were trying to cook a dragon egg and the ninja had to battle them to reclaim the egg. Moving onwards to the next poster here, we have a reference to the iconic anime film Akira, which is actually an image that was depicted in the LEGO Ninjago core instruction manuals for this particular set, which was the Kai Ninja Bike Rider mech, but here they've actually done it in poster form, which is pretty cool. I also think it's really nice how they basically were able to take a reference they designed for the instruction manuals and just reuse it as a sticker, which was really cool to see that actually being used again in a poster here. Next up, we have another one of my favorite references in the set, and this is a sign that simply reads Ninja, referencing the original LEGO Ninja theme, which came out in 1999 as a sub-theme of LEGO Castle. The original Ninja theme introduced a lot of these classic Ninjago components which were used especially in year 1 of Ninjago, from the ninja hood to the katana to the armor used for the samurai, and this isn't the first time Ninjago's referenced it, including a brick-built version of the original Dragon Wing Flyer, which you can see on the top of this poster in the Temple of Urjitsu set back in 2015, 10 years ago. Moving on from that, we can take a look at the back of the model where there are even more references to be found. This first sign here reads Buddy's Pizza, and Buddy's Pizza is actually a location seen multiple times in the show. It's where Jay worked in season 2, it's where the ninja went when they were young and wanted to go to an arcade store to hang out when they were de-aged, and it also was seen in Prime Empire, although by then it had been closed down and Zane was investigating it as a detective, which means that maybe at least in the set universe, the store has reopened. Next to it, we have a sign reading Magic, and I can't tell if this really references anything in particular, other than maybe a reference to Dorama, who is showcased very heavily in this set. Moving on from that, we have a little reference to the island here. There is a text that reads Zippies, which is seeming to be some sort of a brand of snack, maybe like animal food, and Zippy was the name of the dragon in the island, so maybe these are some treats that you can get Zippy, because Zippy was very dog-like. Moving over to the side next to that, we have another very obscure Ninjago reference, and this reads Wong's Costume. This was the store that the ninja went to in Season 2, Pirates vs. Ninja, when they went to purchase pirate outfits from the costume store to infiltrate Captain Soto's pirate gang. This is one of the most obscure Ninjago references in this set, and definitely was one that I had to kind of think back to remember what exactly that was referencing. Moving on from that, we have a showcase of the legacy version of Cole's Boulder Blaster here, aka the Rotojet. The text reads Quake of the Skies, which is a nice little reference to the jet that Cole piloted in Season 4 Tournament of Elements. Moving on to our next reference here, I don't really know if this necessarily counts as a reference per se as opposed to just depicting a TV show location in set form, but taking a look inside Dorama's workshop, you can see the same red curtains which he showcased in his stage tour when he was attacking Eren and Sora, and inside his actual workshop you can find a ton of other references. The vinyl record here reads The RB, which is of course a reference to the Royal Blacksmiths, the famous musician group of which Cole's father is a member, Lau. Over here is a poster featuring Dorama's puppet, which is looking a lot more accurate to the TV show, reading New Show. And on the inside, there's a nice little reference to one of the original LEGO Castle Wizards, Magisto the Magic Wizard, who appeared throughout a number of Dragon Master sets back as a sub-theme of LEGO Castle in the 1990s. Alongside it on the table is a golden trading card of Nia, which is meant to mimic the pilot's outfit that she had and actually is a replica of the original trading card featuring Nia that came out in 2011. Very nice to see that as a reference here. And then, alongside the entire rotating poster board here, there's a number of references including pulling the Duplo bunny from a hat, which is the icon of Duplo, the original symbol for Cole, the original symbol for Kai, as well as Crazy, one of the Skulkins seen in the 2011 wave. The mat on the floor also reads Welcome. Moving on to one of the final buildings, this is the Ninpla store, which is a play on Gunpla, which is of course Gundam plastic models, a very popular style of mech building from Japan. Depicted on the side of the store is the outline of Cole's Titan Dragon mech, in my opinion the best LEGO mech ever made, and there's a model of the mech itself inside the store. One of my favorite details is along the shelf, you can see different iterations of the Titan Mech series. Zane's Titan Mech from Ninjago Legacy, Jay's Titan Mech from Core, Cole's Titan Dragon Mech from Dragon's Rising Season 2, and Lloyd's Titan Mech from Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu. On the top, you can see the mech that started it all, which is the Samurai X mech for Nia, which is a really nice, another deeply layered reference to Gundam and Gunpla, because a lot of folks and fans of Gunpla reference a grandfather mech as the one that started it all, and this is kind of like the grandmother mech of Ninjago because it was the very first one. There's also some paint canisters which you can purchase separately on the side of the stall, again another reference to the Gundam fandom, and then there's a very strange mech showcased on the side here. It is definitely one that is not a reference to any mech that we know of so far, although I have to imagine that this might be a reference to, again, the new Kai's Fire Night mech, which is coming out this summer, because it's the only mech in the set that it doesn't really make sense what exactly it's referencing. Here's a look at that Ninpla sign from the very front, and there also is a reference to Lloyd's Titan mech from Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, with the helmet here on the side of the store being an exact showcase of the helmet seen in the TV show of that original mech, although the other helmet doesn't seem to correspond to anything that we know of yet. Overall, that about sums up every single Easter egg and reference that I was able to find in Ninjago City Workshops. Of course, this doesn't include any of the minifigures included in the set, which aren't really references, I just see those as characters, but overall, this is every single reference that I was able to spot, and let me know in the comments if you think I was missing anything, and which reference was your favorite. It definitely feels like there's a few less references than normal. I'm totally used to there being like dozens and dozens of references to all sorts of LEGO themes here, and it seems like they kind of pared that back a little bit for this set, but again, this set is also a lot smaller than the past few Ninjago City expansions we've gotten in the past. Overall, I hope you enjoyed this look at all of the Easter eggs and references in the new Ninjago City Workshops, and let me know if you plan to get the set when it comes out on March 1st of this year. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming your way very soon, and bye for now.